Hey y'all, Pastor Chris here. So I had this comment asking me about Brandon Biggs. Honestly, I had no idea who this guy was, so I went and looked him up. Couldn't find a whole lot about him, but I did find out that he is a pastor who has been sharing some prophecies that a lot of people think are legit. So I wanted to address that. But first things first, I wanted to talk about prophecy in general. So, a lot of people think that prophecy is the same thing as predicting the future. Basically, that's what that word means. And that's because in common popular usage, that is what the word means. We find it in a lot of works of fiction, that this prophecy needs to be fulfilled, needs to come true. But from a biblical perspective, prophecy does not mean future telling. Very simply put, a prophet is somebody who is in tune with the will of God, who then makes that will known to the people. Even more simply put, a prophet is basically a spokesperson for God. So that can include predictions of the future, like a promise that a Messiah is coming. That's a promise of hope. Or a promise of judgment if the people don't turn from their ways. But if you notice with those predictions that there is a goal with that, that God has a goal, a motivation to get people either to give them hope or to get them to turn away from their wicked ways. The goal of that kind of prophecy is never just telling the future for the sake of telling the future. Plus, the prediction of what's going to happen doesn't necessarily have to take place, like the predictions of judgment. The book of Jonah is a really excellent example of this. Jonah prophesies to the people of Nineveh that God will bring judgment if they don't repent. They repent, God doesn't bring judgment, Jonah gets upset. Prophecy is always a tool used to make God's will known. That said, I have great respect for prophets and great contempt for those who pretend to be prophets. I consider Martin Luther King Jr. to be a modern day prophet because he made God's will known to the people. But these religious leaders who are just going around making predictions about the future, hoping that something will hit in order to make themselves popular, that's not prophecy. That is self-aggrandizement, and it has nothing to do with God. So, now turning specifically to Brandon Biggs, what I found was that he made a prediction on the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and I actually found a really great response on Reddit that pretty much sums up my thoughts on this. Let me see if I can get it up here on the screen. So this is from Reddit user Rowan, and you can see kind of the analysis here that I would generally agree with. Basically, just that our brains are kind of wired to believe this sort of stuff and to make these connections. And when these predictions are made in a vague manner, it can be easy for our brain to say, "Oh yeah, that absolutely came true," right? But it's not taking into account, how many other prophecies did this guy make? I know there was the recent thing about the New Orleans attack, and people are saying, oh, he predicted that. I'll be honest, I have not gone and listened to all of his prophecies, but I guarantee you he's made more than just the two, and the only reason these two are getting any traction is because they seem like they came true. But it doesn't account for any of the other details that he gave. I know in the assassination attempt thing, he said Trump would be on fire for Jesus. Haha, I laugh at that. But there's clearly this is about him increasing his own exposure and becoming more popular. I guarantee you, if there was any weight to this at all, if he could actually predict the future, he would be way more than an influencer. He would be in a government facility somewhere. There's, from my perspective, no weight to these prophecies. Coincidence? Yes. but actual predicting the future, no. And again, predicting the future is not the same thing as prophecy. Prophecy is making known the will of God. So those are my thoughts. Yes, I think he's a charlatan. I basically think he's a psychic in religious disguise, and I put no stock in psychics, in fortune telling, anything like that. I don't think there's anything to it. I understand why people really want to believe in this stuff. It's compelling, but I just don't think that it's real. Certainly, there are stories in the Bible of people receiving visions from God in dreams. But again, all of those are with a particular purpose. When Joseph interpreted the dream for Pharaoh, it was so that he could effectively manage the food supply in Egypt to make sure that the rest of the surrounding world didn't starve to death during the famine. I mean, there was a purpose there. So, again, if people aren't directing you to the will of God, don't listen to them. Just don't listen to them. That's all I really have to say about that. But thank you for bringing that to my attention. I had fun putting this together. I hope it was informative for all of you, and I hope I didn't hurt anybody's feelings. But yeah, basically, those are my thoughts on the issue. I will see you guys again on Monday in my new podcast. The episode I just finished getting it all written down. I'm going to be recording it later this afternoon, and that will drop on Monday. I don't know exactly what time yet, but it will. I'll let you guys know in a video. Yeah, I won't have a sermon this week because I'm off on Sunday. I'm not preaching, but I will definitely see you guys on Monday. And then also, again, according to my schedule on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Keep those comments coming. Keep giving me topics that you guys want to hear about. I know I already have a couple more in the queue. So if you sent me one, don't worry, I'll get to it. Thank you all. Love you so much, and I will see you next time.